Position previews continue on Orange and Blue today. It's Cecil, Lammey, and Andrew Mason talking about the running back position. And Mace, this is going to be an important group. We just don't know how this group is going to shape up yet.
It's important because Sean Payton's not going to get this offense where he hopes it can go without a strong running game. They emphasized it more last year after their slow start. And as he said, if you've got a rookie quarterback, assuming if and when Bo Nix starts, one of the two things that help that rookie quarterback most are a strong ground game, the other, of course, being a stout defense. So getting this part up to speed and providing support for not even if it's just Bo Nix, but Jarrett Stidham, just overall a developing passing game, it's crucial if this team's going to have any kind of success.
Yeah, run the ball and keep that defense fresh. It goes hand in hand. We should see better defensive play this year. But let's start with Javante. I think that's where the conversation begins. What does he truly look like? You and I get a ton of questions on social networking. My best answer, Mace, is better than last year, but not the same as he used to.
That's the best answer and the best way to describe him at this point. He's definitely got most of the quickness, most of the burst back, but isn't all the way there. Obviously, the thing that will tell the tale on Javante is when the pads go on and we see, is he able to break tackles in the way that he did before the injury? The problem last year was that he didn't have the explosion, so his runs were by and large snuffed out before he had a chance to break those tackles. That's the thing. Like Javante Williams couldn't be an angry runner as he was in his rookie season because a lot of times he wasn't getting out of the gates, and it's not like the holes weren't there. As we've discussed time and again, the Broncos were third in the league in run block win rate. You had Samaje Perine averaging 4.5 yards a carry, Jaleel McLaughlin averaging right around 5.5 yards a carry, and Javante Williams not meeting that 4.0 threshold, and his numbers getting worse as the season progressed. So that's why you look at this running back room and say, okay, it's kind of in flux, and there are questions still about Javante as the number one back.
Yeah, questions about Javante and Sean Payton, though, talking about Javante Williams and what his thoughts are on the now veteran back.
He's been looking good. I think historically speaking, when you talk to the experts, they say, the complete heals finishes at 2 years. Obviously, you begin playing before then. But he's been doing well. He's in shape. I know that he's looking forward to the challenge last year. Really is when you think about it, even in training camp, it was still early enough in the process where it was hard for him to go full speed with confidence, and yet we were building kind of and getting him where he was, where we all felt comfortable that he could play. And so I think he's looking forward to this year and certainly the confidence in his health and the strength of his knee.
We did that what if a few weeks ago on what if the Broncos didn't rush Javante Williams back. Man, I mean, I think everyone got caught up in the good vibes and, at this stage in the rehab, he's ahead of expectation. That I think ultimately they didn't do right by him in keeping him on a more conservative schedule. Because remember, it wasn't just an ACL. It was a ACL, LCL, and a posterolateral corner, which is tendons and ligaments involved with that. I mean, he shredded his knee. This was a horrific injury. It's just about as bad as it gets in terms of a knee injury. A clean ACL tear, I think he would have looked good last year, but that wasn't it. It was more complex than that. And that's why you look back and, okay, you had him in a game, in a preseason game, about 10.5 months after the injury. That, in retrospect, and even at the time, but really in retrospect, was a bit ambitious.
Yeah, ambitious, and then they could have ramped him up. And Samaje Perine looks fine. We'll get more on him in just a little bit. But the guy that's the dazzling star of OTAs and mandatory minicamp is one, Jaleel McLaughlin. And for people that say he's too small to carry the full load, no one carries the full load anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you're Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. Even Jonathan Taylor gets hurt. But it's like, okay, can he be the lead back? Sure, the lead back of a committee.
The lead back of a committee, but he could be a guy that's 50% of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing with Jaleel McLaughlin is if he's going to even be that, having that prominent role, it's not incumbent upon his running. It's incumbent upon his pass protection. That's the thing. Jaleel McLaughlin is in an interesting spot because as a runner, in terms of his vision and his burst and explosion, I think right now he's the best in the room at those aspects. Mm-hmm. And he's short, but he's not tiny. I mean, this, he's 5'7", 5'7", 5'8". He's a little bit stronger. He looks in great shape right now. I had a chance to chat with him for a while at the Coors Field charity event last month, and I mean he looked ripped. And at the time, he said that aside from going down to Camp Stiddy and working out with the quarterbacks, other running backs, receivers, and tight ends, he was staying back in Denver. Like everyone else was scattering to the winds, he planned to work out in Denver. He wanted to keep working out at elevation. He didn't want to get off track. I mean, this guy, he's like, if the Broncos had one of those plaques that said Employee of the Month, I used to say Rod Smith would have won it every month he was here back when he played. Tim Patrick would have won it a bunch.
Sure.
But I think Tim Patrick might have competition now from Jaleel McLaughlin. I'm not going to say he's the hardest working player because I think there are plenty that are right there with him. I will say nobody outworks him, and nobody's getting into the building before him on a daily basis. It's 5:15 during OTAs. I mean, he's type A.
He's locked in. He's ready to go. He's ready to produce and show more. And he knows that pass pro is his big thing.
Yeah, working on my footwork. Working on my footwork in pass pro is really, really big. I know the pads aren't there. You're not able to get the big punches in that you need. But working on my footwork in pass pro and being able to see different blitzes, see different coverages, being in the right spot at the right time, and also shooting my hands. I've been working on that as well. So yeah, man.
Look how excited him, man. That's he's pumped, man. I love seeing him.
He didn't even finish it. He was just like, man, he's ready to go.
Excited talking about pass pro. Think about that for a moment because he knows that's his ticket to something bigger. And that's another thing about Javante. When you talk with him, he's got his mind on bigger things.
Yep.
Like he's gotten that taste of it. And so, he came so far, obviously, to make the Broncos last year, being undrafted, taking the long way through college, eventually landing at Youngstown State. And for a lot of guys like that, sometimes the accomplishment is making the team. Then what happens next? Well, with Javante, it's like he got that taste. He had moments like the Chicago game when he came in for Javante Williams when he was hurt, and really for a while there took over that game. That taste of it is like, okay, I want more. I don't want just a bite. I want the whole meal here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I get that? And that's been what's driven him the last few months. And on top of everything else, there's just such a joy with which he goes about it. Like the guy is in OTAs and minicamp. He's full sprint, running out everything and loving it. He's doing it with a smile on his face. And the other thing is when he does that, the way he's working, he makes other guys work harder as well, because when you see this guy getting there at the crack of dawn or before the crack of dawn, and he's running out everything with a gear that not everyone has, or maybe everyone has, but they have to dig deep to find it. Guys start wondering, okay, why can't I do that? And that's actually something I've noticed, is that as he runs out harder, you see others do the same thing, because they understand that's one of the ways in which you get attention, that you catch the coach's eye, is by going full speed the way Javante does, or Jaleel does.
And if he's doing it, why can't you do it? Now, pass pro is about want to, and as he mentions, footwork. There's one thing when the pads come on as a runner that I'll want to see better from him this year, and that's contact balance. As last year went on, and I would say, like, he's like Phillip Lindsay. That's not accurate. Phillip Lindsay had better contact balance. So when he takes a hit, I don't want to see Jaleel lose his feet. Now, perhaps being bulkier and stronger while retaining that speed and having great feet, perhaps that helps his contact balance, but it's an advantage that Blake Watson has, even though Watson on the last day of mandatory had 2 slips, on the turf. And that was disappointing for him, because balance is his specialty. His base is a little bit wider than Jaleel's. But Jaleel's, pads come on, we're going to know more. Right now, super exciting. Pads got to come on. We'll know more about Jaleel.
Exactly. Now, one of the things about what he's shown in pass pro is you can't get all the way there based on what you do in the non-contact, non-collision work of OTAs. You can't kind of show the physicality, but you can show you're in the right position. You can show good hand placement, and you can show that you're able to identify where the rushers are coming from, because part of it for Jaleel McLaughlin is to make up for the size disadvantage he's going to have taking on those inside linebackers. You've got to anticipate them more and meet them further up in the pocket, rather than let them get that a couple of extra steps and get even more force with which to collide with you. If he gets up before and is able to meet the rusher before that guy has a full head of steam, Jaleel's got a chance to win that one-on-one. And so that means he knows this. He's got to anticipate the rush better. He's got to read the rush better. But that's why he's watching film over and over. That's why he's sitting there with Sean Payton. I mean, he's asking Sean about that. Like, he understands that's the key. If he's going to succeed in pass pro, it won't be because he's a devastating blocker where it's like, whoa, he took him out. Like, Javante's got that ability at his size, for example, to take out an oncoming rusher. Samaje Perine has that. Jaleel McLaughlin doesn't. Like, he's not gonna just be a brick wall. He knows he's got to anticipate that. His thing is he simply has to read the defense better than the other running backs if he's to succeed in this discipline.
I was watching highlights of Super Bowl 50 and crying. But I was watching my man CJ Anderson, and there were some. Payton wasn't Payton then, but there were some times when CJ gave him enough time to make those throws, to move those chains, and to win that damn game. And CJ was never a devastating blocker, obviously much bigger than Jaleel, depending on what time of year, sometimes much, much bigger than Jaleel.
Pads
come on, though.
Happens to all of us.
It does. Pads come on. Things will be different, not only for Jaleel, Audric Estime. Samaje's fine. Samaje. What's the update on Samaje? He's the same. Looks fine. Estime is the guy. When pads come on, we'll know more.
And, of course, he had a knee scope during OTAs, and that kept him out for the final weeks of that. The thing is, we could have gotten a good perspective on Estime's vision and burst out there at OTAs, but the real picture is going to come into play in training camp, because at his size, he's got the ability to maul people. It's actually not hard to envision a long-term future backfield of Estime, Watson, and McLaughlin, with Estime providing the thunder, Jaleel McLaughlin the lightning, and Blake Watson being that uber dependable guy catching a bunch of passes out of the backfield, because that's still Blake Watson's number one skill set. And the thing you could see from, and Estime might have that to some degree, but the thing that you could see from Blake Watson in OTAs is the quarterbacks, all three of them, figured out, when I'm in trouble, if Watson's in the flat, get him the ball. He is your safety valve out there. And that's part of what makes him so intriguing. It's also part of why, sitting here in this running back discussion, again, I think the only name you're putting on the 53 right now, barring injury, is Jaleel's.
Yes.
I'm not putting Javante there yet. I'm not putting Samaje there yet, because there is a potential where that backfield could literally be McLaughlin, Estime, Watson. That's not out of the realm of possibility here.
Yeah, and that's it. And Watson catches so cleanly, he snatches the ball out of the air because he's a converted receiver.
A lot of receivers could learn a thing or two from how Blake Watson catches the football.
Right. And imagine a backfield where Bo Nix is in the shotgun. On one side is Jaleel, on the other side is Blake Watson.
Woo.
Double Texas routes.
That's a Patrick Bateman gift right there.
The call for it. Yes.
That's what that is. Yes.
Yeah. What are you going to do? How are you going to stop that?
Well, it's like I say with tight ends, and you could say the same thing with running backs like that. You don't have enough players at the linebacker position who can take care of that. Nobody, you can take care of one. Nobody has, the ability to take care of two high-level pass-catching tight ends, and nobody has the ability to take care of two high-level pass-catching receivers, especially if you've got a high-level pass-catching tight end, whether it's Greg Dulcich actually staying healthy. And look, if he's healthy as a pass catcher, yeah, he's a high-level tight end at that specific skill. Lucas Kroll is showing signs of having the ability to get there, but with more bulk and the ability to go in line. But man, I'm just envisioning the possibilities here if these players continue to develop, of a McLaughlin, Watson, Kroll, with McLaughlin, Watson, Dulcich kind of triumvirate out there. That's a matchup problem for most defenses. If you can get that together, maximize that. I think this is part of the reason why Sean Payton is almost giddy after some of the practices, because it's not just the youth and the energy. It's the possibilities of this specific set of skill players he's putting together. Now, it's possibilities and potential. There's still steps to go to make it reality. Sure. But you have some intriguing stuff going on, and seeing the glimpses of that in OTAs, it's something where you want to turn the pages and see what's next.
You want to play with the toys, the assets that you have, and you can see your offense come to fruition. All starts with the ground game, though.
Yeah.
Got to run the ball. Got to have that threat. Young quarterback, even if it's Stidham, young quarterback, you must run the ball. So is it going to be Javante? Who knows?
If it's Javante, no, Javante had 217 attempts last year. Jaleel McLaughlin, 76, Samaje Perine, 53. If it's Javante and he's 95% of what he was pre-injury, that should be a productive back. It's just, last year, 3.6 yards a carry. And then worse than that, his last game with even 4 yards a carry cease came in week 7 against Green Bay. That's just, it was sad to watch, and while you tip the cap for the effort he made to come back, he was a very deserving winner of the Ed Block Courage Award, no doubt about that. But it was painful to watch Javante sometimes, because we know how he can look, and that burst wasn't there, and you could see it weighed on him too. Now, he does, again, he does look more explosive, and he did kind of get that charge back, but now he's looking around the room here and he sees, I mean, it's a room of quality backs. And, someone like Tyler Beatty, who, every time he gets out there, he seems to make a play in practice as well. But there may not be room for him at the end based on what the Broncos have got. You could argue right now that running back might be the deepest position on the team in terms of quality, because I think you go pretty deep with running backs who can actually succeed at this level.
Yes. Yep. And if I'm an opposing team, I wait for Beatty to get cut and I pick him up. Mm-hmm. He can do good things. Or I try to work out something with Javante. Is someone cut or traded from this backfield? Who knows?
At the same time, he passed through waivers at the cut down last year and then was on the practice squad and no one plucked him.
Well, what's the old country song? Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be running backs, because that's a brutal blanking position.
It's brutal and it cycles so fast.
Young man's game.
It is. I mean, Beatty's done some good things on the practice field, but here he is. He's a couple of years removed from being a rookie. So now, who's the new hotness coming in? It's Audric Estime and Blake Watson. It's also, I think, having Estime and Watson, that even, puts pressure on Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, those guys, coming in and nipping at the heels as well. Not that Jaleel wasn't going to work hard, but there's another layer there when you got a guy like Watson, who different body type, a bit bigger, bit more weight, more of a pass catcher than Jaleel is, but he's got some Joker type traits as well as Jaleel does.
It's like we're motivated with each other, right?
Oh.
It's a part of the chemistry and the formula for this show. The other formula for this show is we need your help on YouTube. About 52% of you that watch are not subscribed. So, Mace, how can they help us out?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you
never miss a vid.
That's right. He's Andrew Mason. Follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty.